Albinoism is a condition where the skin, hair, and eyes of a person lack pigment. Most forms of albinoism are caused by a recessive gene that both parents must have. That means albinoism can run in your family, but you not know that because you've never had an albino relative because the right genetic combination didn't occur. Likewise, if the parents have this recessive gene, they might have multiple albino children. In 1899, 2 little boys who were albino were taken from their home in Franklin County, Virginia, and they were sold to a circus sideshow. They stayed there for 20 years until their fearless mama came and saved them.
I'm Johnny Ashley in the Hood in the Woods, the neighborhood backwoods history and travel channel. You can find me on Facebook as The Real Hood in the Woods and on Instagram as Abandoned in Appalachia. If you'd like to help yourself out and help support this channel, you should check out one of my 3 history books or get yourself a I Break for Old Houses t-shirt. The link will be in the description. Another thing in the description will be a link to my other YouTube channel, The Family Court Guy. Welcome to Franklin County, Virginia. Now our story is going to be set in Truvine, but that community doesn't exist anymore. Now it's in Pinhook, and one of the few things that still has the Truvine name is this church.
This is Truvine Road. Willie Muse was born in 1892, and his brother George was born in 1893. Their parents were sharecroppers, and in 1899, they were working in their family's tobacco fields when they were seen by a man named James Shelton. A nice way to describe him would be to say he was a talent scout. Probably a more accurate way of describing him would to say he was a freak hunter, looking for people with deformities or oddities that he could sell to circus sideshows. He told the brothers that Harriet, their mom, was dead, and then he sold them to a circus. There's also a rumor that a family member sold them to Shelton because their skin couldn't form pigment to protect them from the sun, and this was done to spare them a harsh life working in the fields. As bad as it sounds, this is the same era that children were working in coal mines, and when people couldn't afford their children, it was socially acceptable for them to abandon them at poorhouses and orphanages. The family has strongly denied that that story is true, and I believe them. While it might be possible, I don't think it's probable, and after you hear about their mother, you'll understand why. This is the brothers with Al G. Barnes. They were raised in his circus by performers and people that worked for him. This picture was taken in 1917 or 18, after the brothers had been there for almost 20 years. To accentuate their appearance, the brothers grew their blonde hair into long dreadlocks and went by the stage names Eco and Iko. First they were called the White Ecuadorian Cannibals, then the Sheep-Headed Men. Later on, they were called the Ambassadors from Mars, who had crashed their spaceship into the Mojave Desert. The Muse brothers were also musicians. They were bought and sold from circus to circus and never paid a salary. All they ever received in compensation was room and board. They were not allowed to leave and prevented from contacting their family. Here they are pictured with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, who they were with in the 1920s. This is their mom, Harriet, and in October 1927, she had a dream telling her to go to the circus in Roanoke. She sat in the front row, and for the first time in 28 years, she saw her boys. And just like she saw them, they saw her. They reunited, and the brothers tried to leave with their mama, but the circus prevented it, and even called the police to keep them there. Well, mama wasn't playing that game, and 3 days later, she had a lawyer filing a lawsuit. This is during the height of the Jim Crow era South, and the Roanoke Commonwealth Attorney was also the founding member of the Roanoke chapter of the KKK. That's not them pictured here. That's a big convention they was having in Roanoke just a few years after this happened. I'm just saying, appreciate mama, because she was not scared of nothing. This is the brothers after they finally made it home to see mom and dad. The circus's lawyers argued that the brothers had to stay with the circus because they owed them for room and board. Since the brothers had never been handed a paycheck, they sued for $100,000 in back pay. They got a much smaller amount, but did get a much better contract, including monthly pay, and some of that pay was sent to their parents. Another change to the contract let the Muse brothers sell merchandise and keep the profits. The circus also hired another one of their brothers. From that point on, Mama kept a lawyer and a bail bondsman on retainer to ensure her boys' well-being and best interests. When I talk about merchandise, I'm talking about these postcards I've been showing you. Up to this point of the story, these were pictures that they were forced to take, the circus would sell, and they would never be paid for. The next year they returned to show business, working for the Dreamland Circus and Sideshow. Their first season back, they were playing in Madison Square Garden, drawing tens of thousands of people per performance. In the 1930s they toured Europe, even performing for the Queen of England. In 1937 they returned to America and began touring with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. The brothers saved up money and bought their dear mom a house in Roanoke. In 1961 they retired, ending their career with the Clyde Beatty Circus. They returned home to Virginia and lived together in the house they had bought their mother. 10 years later, in 1971, Mr. George died. Mr. Willie, the older brother, he lived another 30 years. He died on Good Friday in 2001 at the ripe age of 108. This is a picture of him. Both the brothers are buried at Williams Memorial Cemetery in Roanoke. This story is based on the research that Beth Macy did for her book, True Vine.
Alright, that's my video. Hope you liked it. If you did like it, you need to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Don't be watching my stuff for free. If you like this video, here's a couple more you might like.